Jeff Bezos doesn't cash out Amazon shares to buy things. He borrows against them. Elon Musk has pledged Tesla stock as collateral for personal loans worth billions. Larry Ellison reportedly borrowed over $10 billion against Oracle shares. None of them triggered a capital gains tax bill. None of them needed to sell a single asset. And none of them ever will, because when they die, the debt gets cleared from their estate. The cost basis on the assets resets to zero, and the government collects almost nothing. That strategy has a name. It's called buy, borrow, die. I need to challenge the framework most people are using to think about debt, because we've probably heard that good debt makes you money. Bad debt costs you money. Mortgages and student loans, good. Credit cards and car finance, bad. And that framework isn't wrong. It's just deeply incomplete, because it treats debt as a single variable when the research shows debt works more like a system. And within that system, some debt builds wealth even when the interest rate is high. Some debt destroys wealth even when the rate is low. And one type. The kind being built into every app offering you 4 easy payments is specifically designed to make sure you never notice which side you're on. Today we're going to break down what that system actually looks like. Stay for it. In research published through the American Economic Association, economists tracked middle-income families over a decade. Some borrowed to buy property. Others chose not to, citing the risk of taking on debt. The debt-averse families made the more conservative choice. They put their money into savings accounts. They slept better at night. By the end of the study, the families who had taken on mortgage debt were, on average, 12 to 18% wealthier. Not because the mortgage was cheap. Not because property always went up. But because debt tied to an appreciating asset does something psychologically invisible. It puts you inside the system rather than outside it. The family who avoided debt to stay safe paid for someone else's asset to appreciate. The family who borrowed used the bank's money to buy something that kept pace with inflation, built equity, and functioned as a store of value in a world where cash quietly loses purchasing power every year. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. Debt aversion is itself a financial decision. Refusing all debt in a system where assets are appreciating faster than most savings accounts earn doesn't protect you from risk. It just changes the nature of the risk you're carrying. You didn't opt out of the game. You just chose the losing side of it without realizing. But there is a type of debt that genuinely harms you. And it doesn't just harm your bank balance. It harms your brain. In 2013, researchers at Princeton and Harvard published a study in PNAS, The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, that tracked farmers in Tamil Nadu across 2 points in their agricultural cycle. Before harvest when money was tight, and after harvest when it wasn't. Same farmers, same life circumstances. The cognitive test results were completely different. Before harvest, under financial strain, their cognitive performance dropped by the equivalent of losing a full night of sleep. The researchers called it the bandwidth tax. Financial scarcity doesn't just feel bad. It occupies mental space. The background arithmetic of juggling high-interest debt, the minimum payment calculations, the late fee anxiety, the balance compounding faster than you can pay it down, actively reduces the processing power left for everything else like long-term thinking, planning, and impulse control. This creates a cruel irony in personal finance. The debt that causes the most cognitive damage is exactly the debt that requires the most careful thinking to escape from it. That's not a character flaw. That's a mechanism. And it's worth understanding the difference. Now let's go back to where we started. Buy, borrow, die isn't just a curiosity about how billionaires manage their tax bills. It's a demonstration of what debt can look like when the underlying asset is appreciating faster than the cost of borrowing. Here's the mechanics. You buy an appreciating asset like a home or rental property. You don't sell it, because selling triggers a capital gains tax event. Instead, you borrow against it. A lender gives you cash using your asset as collateral. You live on, or invest, that cash. The interest you pay on the loan is typically far lower than the return your asset is generating. So you come out ahead while paying interest. When you die, under current tax law in the U.S., the cost basis on many assets steps up to current market value. Your heirs inherit the asset. The debt gets cleared. The capital gains that compounded for decades vanish. The government collects almost nothing. I'm not telling you to go replicate this. The full version requires asset values most of us don't have. But the principle buried inside it is genuinely important. Debt attached to an asset that grows at a higher rate than the interest you're paying is not a liability. It is a vehicle. The debt isn't the cost. The debt is the mechanism. If you're finding this useful, like the video and subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of thing we keep digging into on this channel. Now let me show you the part of this story that nobody is talking about. Here's where it gets darker. Because while structured debt can function as a vehicle, consumer technology is being specifically engineered to make bad debt invisible. In April 2026, the American Psychological Association published new research on buy now, pay later services. And what they found was striking. Participants significantly underestimated how much they had actually spent using BNPL compared to traditional credit. It was enough to change their financial decisions entirely. The framing of 4 easy payments doesn't just spread the cost, it removes the cognitive signal that you've taken on debt at all, the psychological pain that usually creates natural spending friction. The same mechanism that makes handing over cash feel worse than tapping a card has been engineered out of the transaction completely. The debt is real. The experience of taking it on has been designed to feel like nothing. And by the time the combined payments land, the purchase is long forgotten, the emotional justification is gone, and the financial consequence is all that's left. So here's the actual difference. Not good versus bad. That framing is too simple. The real question is, does this debt connect you to an asset that grows, or does it fund something that immediately diminishes? A mortgage on a property that holds its value. You're inside the system, using borrowed money to store purchasing power in something that outlasts inflation. A student loan for a qualification that measurably shifts your earning power. It's on the asset side, if the numbers actually support it. Consumer debt on things that are gone the moment you buy them. You are borrowing against your future income to consume something today. And the compounding interest means the thing costs significantly more than the price tag ever said. And then there's the bandwidth tax sitting underneath all of it. It's not just the interest rate that makes consumer debt dangerous. It's the cognitive load. The mental overhead of carrying high-interest debt reduces the decision-making capacity you'd otherwise use to escape it. One type of debt makes money work for you. One type makes you work for money. And one type is specifically built so you don't notice which one you've chosen until it's already compounding. 3 things to take with you. Debt aversion is a financial decision. And in a system where assets outrun savings, refusing all debt is its own form of risk. Consumer debt doesn't just cost you interest. It taxes the cognitive bandwidth you need to get out of it. And the wealthiest people in the world don't avoid debt. They engineer to run in the opposite direction. I'm Billy, and I probably spend too much time thinking about why the most repeated financial advice people are given. Debt is dangerous. Avoid it. Is technically true for some people, while structurally backwards and completely invisible for others.